The purpose of this project is to shed light on the importance and effects fathers play in our lives. The foundation of a father is more important than we could ever think. Children look to their fathers for strength, encouragement, wisdom, guidance, and even correction. Young men look to their fathers for instruction on how to be a man, how to conduct themselves in society, and how to handle their emotions. Fathers are the first-hand example of spirituality or the lack thereof. Oftentimes, not knowing your father can cause identity crisis. At least it did in my case. I believe if I had a chance to get to really know him, I would have made better choices. Now, I'm not blaming him for the choices that I made. I'm just saying we are a direct reflection of the examples that are set before us. So if I had a chance to write a letter to my father today, it would read, "Hey Dad."
We live,
What's
baby.
up, everyone? We are here live to celebrate Letters to My Father's 1 year anniversary. Man, we are so excited to have to be doing this for 1 year. I have words cannot express how we feel. We thank each and every one of y'all for joining in with us. So the purpose of this, we're just going to talk about what happened, what we've done over the last year. We got some people that's willing to talk to us, and that's logged on that tell us how impactful it's been over the last year for them. And feel free to join in the conversation. Leave us a message in the comments. And man, we just excited, like extremely excited. Before we get started, we're going to introduce the crew. So we have Avery. Avery, talk about yourself and how you felt over the last year.
Yes, I'm the community liaison for Letters to My Father. Honestly, we've done a lot of impact in the last year towards helping men figure out what's going on within them, realizing stuff that they might not even notice came from their fathers or their relationship with their father or lack thereof, and how it affects how they parent people moving forward and everything like that. So, just giving men that platform to come together and talk and just giving that platform. Honestly, the impact has been amazing. It's been amazing.
Yeah, it's been amazing. Avery's job is hard. He really talks to all of the guys and help them understand what to do and all that kind of stuff. So I definitely, we as a team definitely Avery. We want to talk to the newest member of the group, Avery News. And man, this guy had came on, did his interview, and he ain't never leave. So he been in fact ever since day one. So Avery News, man, how you feeling today? And tell us what's your thoughts about how things going.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here. And I'm happy to be a part of this Letters to My Father. I started out as, like everyone else, as a participant. And happy to be a part of the whole team. So at the end of the day, man, fathers, that role between the father and their children is very important. And we're doing great work. It's great work here. And needed work, long needed work. And I'm just happy to be a part of it, to do my little part to help the cause out. So looking forward how much more we can do. So I'm just great to be here. And thank you guys for having me.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. When I tell you that this guy has been influential, we're going to talk about some of the places that he's actually gotten us in and some of the places that we're going to. He has been, when he came in and jumped aboard, he came in 10 toes down, running full force ahead. And I'm telling you, I couldn't be more excited. Now we're gonna go to the lady of the crew. She is look everything that y'all see happening behind the scenes. This woman right here, not behind the scenes, because we're gonna get to Terrell. That's the man behind the scenes. But all the administrative work and everything that's being done. This lady right here, she's doing it all at 9 months pregnant. Now Reed Collins, Where you at, shorty?
She just popped back off. Hold on a second. We're gonna get her back in. There she go.
There she go. Now read. You ready? Now read Collins.
I don't think she can hear you.
Alright. I don't think she can hear me at the moment. Can you hear me? Raise two fingers if you can hear me. No, alright. We're gonna come back to her in a second. Donna. You can do that. We live. We have technical difficulties, so we live. So, all right. I'm sorry, y'all. We there she go. Now we can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you now. Sorry.
All right, awesome. So now Reed, tell us about what you do and the impact that the program has actually had on you.
So my job is to pretty much keep just like the books, to keep the logistics, keep everything running smoothly. This has had a crazy impact on me because as I'm just like going through my daily life and I'm looking at kids and looking at people's relationships. If I don't know, if I just see somebody in a Walmart looking at how they parenting, and even though this has led us to my father, I've been taking a different look at how I'm parenting my own child and some of the things that she might have that might have a lasting impact on her, even though she's only 2, or just look like just looking at the whole parenting itself differently. And then I just love watching the impact that it's had on a lot of fathers, even the ones who haven't participated in an interview yet, still just learning and recognizing some things within themselves about their parenting as a father and then the parenting they receive from their fathers.
Man, that's great. I'm telling you know, man, although you my daughter and Avery's wife, it's just to have your board has just been amazing, and you have been a very influential part of this team. I'm telling you, it's most of the stuff I couldn't do. I mean, the amount of times I call you and talk to you about stuff, you just got it under control, and we really appreciate every bit of it. So we had the other man on, the man behind the scenes. He working everything. When I tell you he take care of everything, he take care of everything behind the scenes. He do all the stuff that we need done. Mr. Jarrell, what's up, man?
Yo, what's going on, folks? How y'all doing? We back here working hard, trying to make sure that we bringing y'all all that needs to be brought, and making sure that we are conveying the messages that we trying to convey. So shout out to everybody that's in the interview right now. Ever since we got started, it's been my mission to make sure I'm bringing my A game so that we can bring y'all what y'all need. So appreciate you, Mr. Thomas, for having me as a part of this unit, man.
Thank you. So we want to talk about how this last year has went down. We got a couple people online. We got Mr. Excited Tony still watching the game, y'all. We must have missed another field goal, but it's okay. It's okay. But we got Tony online right now. We got Brother Steve online right now, and we're gonna get to them in a few minutes. But we want to just talk about this last year. This last year has been amazing. These 365 days, man, we done a lot of stuff. So we want to talk about round one. Round one. Let's start with round one. So, Avery, what were some of your impactful moments? You got your interview during round one. So what were some of your impactful moments during round one?
Some of the most impactful moments from that first round was hearing other men's stories and hearing the through line in the narrative of all of us black men. That it's for a lot of times, a lot of men that go through struggles with their fathers or feel like they're struggling as a father, they feel isolated. They feel like they're the only one. And this, I think we had what, like 6 interviews, 6, 7 interviews that first session, and realizing all of us had some of the same stuff going on, and showed us that we could be in a room, talk about our issues as men, and still leave as men. You know what I mean? That was the biggest highlight from that first session, was being vulnerable but strong at the same time.
Man, oh man. One of the major themes during that time was the self-esteem part from each and every man that came online. So what's your thoughts about the impacts of having low self-esteem on I'm laughing at Tony. He's so animated, man. It's I'm laughing at him. But what are y'all thoughts on the self-esteem part about that fathers play in the lives of a child? Anybody can join in. We have brother Emmett that came on. Emmett and Tony was in round two. So we're gonna talk about Emmett and we're gonna talk to Emmett and Tony in the food, and brother Steve and anybody else that want to join us. We're gonna talk to y'all too. But what are y'all thoughts about the self-esteem piece that's been impacted in the lives of our that comes from our the father to the child? Anybody? In fact, let's talk to Brother Steve. Brother Steve, you still there? You not there? I can't hear you, Emmett. Hold on, I can't hear you. Unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I think it helped my self esteem out in a point where it allowed me to realize some things that I had either blocked out or things I just totally ignored. To be able to face it and to be able to talk about it was great for me, because sometimes just verbalizing things is the best therapy in the world. And for me, the letters to my father allowed me to see some of the good things in our relationship that I really didn't realize or didn't acknowledge, and it helped me minimize some of the things that weren't so great that I kind of put on the pedestal. So it really helped my self esteem out a lot. So that's kind of helped me out. Oh, Tony, go Ravens, man! I'm sorry, I had to mess with Tony.
Since we're talking to Tony, brother Tony, what's your thoughts on the self-esteem piece when it comes down to it? I take it we lost.
Yeah, it was bad. So for me, I had a lot of unresolved issues with my dad as far as things I wanted to say and everything like that. That allowed to let me release a lot of that. In addition, which helped me grow really, really close to my dad. So right now, our relationship is like the best I could have ever hoped it would have been. And I'm very fortunate that I was able to do that. And I want to attribute a lot of my things that I opened up to on the show. Let me be able to feel freer towards my father. So that's what I really think, which allowed my self esteem, high as it already was, it allowed it to just escalate even further.
Awesome, awesome, awesome.
Hey,
Anybody
hey,
else want to
Thomas.
chime in?
Thomas, yeah, let me chime in. So I think having a father there to in a child's life is important because the self-esteem part is, if you don't get that affirmation from your dad, and we talked about in other interviews, we talked about nurturing and helping something to grow. If you don't get that affirmation from your dad, then you'll look for it in other places because you're lacking that self-esteem. So I think it's important to for dads to be there to help grow that self-esteem.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Because in my situation, my self esteem was so shot because of the things that my dad um, said to me and did to me, and I mean, I was really damaged for a long time behind that, and so when a reoccurring theme of low self esteem kept coming up, I could relate all too well about it. Um, we need our father all the time, not just when it's convenient. Not just when it's convenient. We need that positive affirmation. Um, like Kevin in round one was talking about the fact that his father made him get off the football field when he played football. Wouldn't let him play football. That's something that's a negative thought because you're gonna make him feel like he always too small to do something. Now I could understand him not wanting him to get hurt, but to to make him feel like he just can't do it because of his size, man. I'm a firm believer that my children will tell you, I tell them they can do anything they put their mind to, especially if you believe in God. You believe in God, you can do, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So it's just that simple. And I'm a firm believer in that. And I try to teach my children that and my grandkids at the same time. Um, um, Self-esteem has been a major thought process going forward. I mean, period. Um, Another thing that was a reoccurring thing um, throughout the course of the time has been presence. How important is it to be present in your child's life? Anybody want to take that? Bruce?
Uh, I say something. I
Yeah,
don't know if you guys can hear me.
yeah, yep. Go ahead.
I think me, my father, he was incarcerated my whole life, my whole 23 years of living,
All
and
right, do me a
he would
favor.
get.
Introduce yourself.
Oh, I'm sorry, my name Draco. I'm from Mount Olive Church. I just recently came home from incarceration, and I actually missed my 4-month-old son, his birth. I missed his birth, and
Okay.
I have a 2-year old. I have a 2-year old also, and when I got back home, my son, he was so much more advanced than he was when I left. He began
Wow.
talking and he began doing comprehending and things, and I realized that my presence was missing, so he was exposed to certain things. So even though he'd not been taught these things, is that he sees them, so he picks up on them. And I feel like that's the biggest thing in presence, because when you're growing up and you're a teenager, if you don't have a role model, a father figure in that home, you'll go out looking for one. And the messed up part about it is the enemy is this. He's been deceitful, and he's guiding you to death using these false father figures. You know what I'm saying? The guys with the money and the cars and the girls, and he look like he the man, but he don't. But really, he's going to be leading you down on the path of death that he's leading himself down. The blind lead the blind. Both of them fall in the ditch. So I feel like
Absolutely.
presence is. I feel like presence is really big because you can talk, you can drop a million jewels, but if they don't see it firsthand, also you walking the walk as well as talking the talk, they don't know what it looks like to act these things out, so they never do them.
I
Man,
wanna
Drake.
I wanna add. I want to add
Go
to
ahead.
that part because my wife and I were just discussing this last week. So I'm not sure about how the new style hustlers or whatever do whatever they how they do or whatever recruit or whatever. But back when I was younger, the hustlers that was around, and I kind of want, like you said, my father really wasn't there when I was younger, so I did gravitate towards the wrong people. But when I said I wanted to get down with them or whatever, they wouldn't let me. They said this ain't for you. This ain't for you. And that those decisions alone, them guiding me at least with they have morals at least some to some degree back then, allowed me to get away from that and continue in my career path or whatever. But I was just so desperate for money, but they were like, nah, this ain't the route.
Yeah, that's
And
deep right there.
the
Go ahead.
saddest part about it is these guys nowadays, they're not built on certain morals and principles and things. So they would love to see you throw your life away with them. They would love misery, love company. They would love for you to join them in throwing their life away because now they have someone to enjoy it with. When they sitting in a jail cell, when they on their funeral, they would love to for you to bring you along with them. You know,
So,
it, it,
so Draco, let
it's
me ask
crazy.
you a question. Um,
Hmm.
what kind of relationship do you currently have with your dad? I know you said he was incarcerated most of your life, right?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay.
My
What kind of
dad went
relationship do you have now?
he was he was incarcerated when he was 19 years old. He caught 40 years. So he's now
Wow.
43. So a lot of things that you will learn that life would teach you being free, he never got the experience. So sometimes me and my dad are more of brothers than as a father and a son because sometimes I'll be teaching him things or he'll be wanting to react a certain way and I'll be like, that's not the right way. So it'd be more so because I experienced a little bit more in life than he did, it makes me have the wisdom that he has, but him being older, you get what I'm saying? So it sometimes it's frustrating because yeah, he's a father and a son, and he has good advice, but it's also sometimes I can't go to him with certain things because he's never experienced them, and it creates like it doesn't create a hole in our relationship, but it creates it hard to, you know, to create empathy because he's never been through it.
So let me. Another question I have for you, brother Draco, is how are you, what things are you doing differently so that your son don't follow in those same footsteps? Because you say you just came
Joining
home, right?
Yeah, joining meetings like this, sacrificing time that I would be, doing anything else and not just wasting time and actually, I took a trauma class when recently and a lot of times we don't be realizing how important our mental and our emotional state is as much as our financial state or our place in the world because it's just as important. It starts eternally. So I had to learn that yeah, these things might not be producing money or thing, but they're still important because it's benefiting me. It's investing in myself so I can help others. I think that's the biggest thing that I had to realize. So now I can pour these things into my son that I used to spend on the streets or chasing girls, or now I'm in the house, giving him a bath, let playing Bible story, YouTube with him, like things that's investing love into him and not just investing in providing clothes and all these materialistic things. I'm actually trying to invest in his love because now I understand what it means to be emotionally mature a little bit. So now I see how important it is that he learn that early and that he don't start acting out of aggression and start being angry and start thinking that you solve problems with violence. I want
Right.
him to understand it's okay to be compassionate, it's okay to be loving, it's okay to care about others. Yes, you must have to protect yourself at the same time, but those are not the things that you hear in our community anymore. You taught to don't cry when you upset or anything. Mask your emotions and hide them and protect them. But where's the release on them? You only release it now. You're being angry to everybody and you're being aggressive, and now you hurting society.
Man, you said something that I haven't that was taught in our communities to men for so long is that You don't cry. Men don't cry. You know,
Yeah.
men solve their problems with anger and violence, and that was something that was a recurring theme over the year. Um, we recently went to the jail and did a workshop in the prison system, and I'm telling you, it's probably out of all of them. No offense to anybody else, but that was probably one of the most impactful ones that we've done, and I mean, really impactful because we got some insight and we helped some of those guys really understand the their importance and the importance of that dad. So Avery moves. Look like he froze. Avery moves. All right. So Avery moves on.
Yeah, I hear you. My video
So
still there?
yeah, I hear you now. What was one of your major takeaways from the
What
prison
was
system when we went
the
there?
question?
What was one of your major takeaways from the prison system when we was there? All right, we're gonna have to come back to Avery. You breaking up real bad, brother.
Experience. And my major takeaway was one of the recurring themes was that a lot of the guys in there and the ones that were on the panels, the ones that spoke, most of them, I would say 90, didn't have a dad in their life. They didn't. They may have had like a male figure, but their dad wasn't there. And the letters that the guys were writing to their dad that wasn't there. You remember the one guy started off, started his off with, "Dear James," right? "Dear
Dear
James." He said,
James.
"I'm not gonna call you
Oh my
dad
goodness.
because you don't deserve that title." And then like a couple of minutes into the set to his letter, he stopped the letter and said,
He said, we're gonna have to get Avery back on. He stopped the letter and said, I done spent more time on this letter than you ever spent in my entire life.
Wow.
Man, that thing blew me away.
Mm.
It was like at this man was in his 50s. And he said he cried. The first time he cried for his father was when his father died because he never had a chance to give his father the plan of salvation. That was the only reason why he cried. Because all he wanted to do was give his father the plan of salvation because his father was still doing the same things that he was doing while he was in the street. He said he ain't cried because he was gone. He cried because he knew that his father was going to go to hell. You know what I mean? In his heart of hearts. How hurtful is that? How hurtful is that? You know, I mean, go ahead. We have Avery back. Let um. So
"Yeah,
yeah,
sorry, I don't know where I ended off at. Sorry, and I apologize, man. My flight was late. We had issues at the rental, so I was supposed to been. I wish I was settled somewhere right now to really pay attention here. But where did I stop at? I don't want to restate anything.
you was talking about how he said that he spent more time on his letter than he did the
Oh,
entire time the father was in his life.
yeah, yeah. He was. I mean, then, yeah, but they knew the importance of being a good dad to their kids, and it was just um inspiring, kind of, even though, despite of their decisions and circumstances, all of them were striving to be good dads. They were all striving. They were all connected with their kids, and their grandkids if they had them, and some of group. So just to give some context, these guys been in there like 30 some years, 40 some years, and we even met one guy that was in there 53 years in jail.
53 years.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
So yeah, that was my thing. It was a recurring theme that they didn't have a dad or male figure in their lives, but they knew the importance. Oh, and remember the one real quick, and I'll let you move on. But dang, I forget his name. But the guy, he was on the run. He was on the run, and his son
Yeah.
was being born, and he said he had to come back he was not gonna miss his son's birth, and that's the only reason why he got caught.
That's
He
how he
said
got caught.
he would have been, but he was not going to not be there for his son like his dad was there for him. So despite
Yep.
like their decisions, they still understood the importance of being a good father.
Yep. And the one that really bothered me was the guy that said that he made it. His father kept telling him, do as I say, not as I do. Do as I say, not as I do. And his father was a drug addict, an alcoholic, and in and out of jail all his life. And he ended up doing the exact same thing. A drug addict, an alcoholic, in and out of jail all of his life. And he was in jail at that moment. And it was the most enlightening thing. It's like, man, it was crazy. Before we go further, we got Bruce on the line. Bruce is a liaison. He really helps us with the flow of the program. Bruce, introduce yourself to the people and tell them what you do and how the program is impacted you.
Well, I'm Bruce Turner, liaison, as my brother said. The group hasn't impacted me. I mean, it makes you look, it makes you think about things that you've been through, where you are in your life as far as being a dad, or the connection you have with your current dad. I enjoy it. Like when I can't make certain events, it bothers me because I really enjoy, the camaraderie with the fellas, and hearing other people's story. Because everybody's story is not meant just for them. You learn something from everybody. So that's what it does for me. I apologize, I'm late.
Now you was at the game, so you good. And you doing what we need to be done. You spending time with your wife and your child. So that's what's important. Your children. So that's what's important. You
Absolutely.
know. You know. So um I had a speaker, but she's sick at the moment. Um she's sick at the moment. So Avery, what's been some of the most impactful things that you have encountered over the course of this last year? No matter what round it's been in.
Um, so when we started this program, I was a new father. Um, Now I'm a new father and an expecting father of my first son. My first son is on the way. So I think the biggest impact. So I was a girl dad first, which I think for my son was the best thing that could have happened to him because I'm a lot lighter. I think I'm a lot softer, if you will, in my parenting style. And it was actually from Bishop Oscar E. Brown's interview we did a few months ago, where he said his definition of father had the word nurturer in it, and
Oh
I
yeah.
didn't see that word when it came to father. Like in my experiences with my father, I didn't see the word nurturer. I saw a lot of different words. Nurturer was not one of the words I would have saw. And now, as I'm approaching being the father of my son, um, I see the word nurturer going with it. I see nurturer being a part of that journey. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I definitely see that being a part of me and his journey.
So Draco, do you have you ever been taught that being a nurturer is part of your job as a man? No, right? I, you can't hear me?
No, you can't hear me. All right, there you go. There you
All
go.
right,
You know you
good.
had me on. But no, I ain't never heard that. I ain't never heard that as part of being a father.
Right, and it's something, and that my children. We good?
There you go. Yeah, we good.
All right. I'm grown, my children are grown, and I'm just learning the value of being a nurturer. Now, it's something that I've been doing all along. I just didn't understand that this was something that I was part of my job description until we did the interview with Bishop, with my bishop. And you
Can
talking
y'all
about a
explain a little bit what he meant by that, as a nurturer, as a father versus a nurturer as a mother?
yes. You say you want to explain it? You want me to explain
No,
Hey,
y'all can
you
explain it.
want?
Y'all got it.
it? All
Hey,
right.
can I chime in here?
Yes, sir. Because Avery Muse,
Yeah,
when he went through his interview, one of the things that he actually learned too. I'm excited about it. So go ahead, brother.
yeah. That was a good, because when I was preparing for our panel, that's the word that I came up with, is nurturer too. And you had mentioned it during the session, Thomas. And nurturer really is to help something grow, to give it what it needs to grow in the right way, right? So it's to to pay attention to make sure that you give it what it needs so it can grow in the way that it's supposed to grow. And the opposite is, if you don't tend to it, or if you're not there, it was alluded talked about earlier. If you're not there, you're not present, and I think Draco mentioned it. If you're not there, then it's going to grow in a way that you might not want. You might not like how it grows,
Right.
because you're not there shaping it. So I don't think it's a difference between the difference between a man and a woman nurturer. Both nurturings are the same. It's good, but we give them we give them different things, right? So my wife, she gives them, like Avery was saying, a lighter side of it, and I might give a harder side of it, or a tough love side of it. But ultimately, it ends up in the middle when you have both nurture in the right way, right? Because I think if you have one or the other, you're out of balance. If you only have one, if you only have one side of it, then you get out of balance. When you have both, it helps. Help. It's a healthy, well-roundedness, I believe.
No, that's important to remember, is that, when God gives people children, it takes two people to make them. Likewise, it takes at the minimum two to raise them. So when Bishop first brought up the word nurturer, I like the way you put it, Avery, where it's two sides of it, because it's you need both. They complement each other. The mother and the father's input and role is very distinct, but they're both very needed in the upcoming and growth of a child. And oftentimes in today's society, especially in our community, we often get one side of it, which can lead to a lot of different voids or holes in people's lives, and like Draco was saying, they those voids, they can either get filled or remain empty. Regardless, it's not good for the growth of the child. It's not good for the growth of the person. Ultimately, these are people who are going to be fathers and mothers of themselves one day. You know what I mean? Um, so yeah, nurture. Yeah, the term nurture was something that especially when we did. And if anybody has not seen these interviews, for all those who watching on YouTube, y'all go ahead, check out our YouTube page, watch all these interviews. They were all amazing, powerful interviews and messages. But that was the first word, I believe, when Bishop Oscar Brown was asked what is a father, his first thought
Yeah.
was nurturer.
His
And
first thought.
usually when you think of somebody say, what's a father to you? The first thing that might come in the average person's mind is disciplinarian.
Discipline, provider,
Provider.
protector,
Mm-hmm.
all of those masculine things. It's like that's the first thing that come through. But then we look at nurturer. Oh no, that I don't need to be a nurturer. That's a woman's job. But the difference between a male nurturer, a father, a nurturing as a father, and a nurturer as a mother, is that the nurturer as a father gives them all of those things: the protector, the provider, um, the and the disciplinarian, and all of those kinds of things, but also is able to say, hey, look, check this out. It's gonna be okay. You know, life is gonna be good. You know, I mean, don't worry about it. You can do this. Those the kind of things that I never got. Now, me and my brother grew up in the same house. He might have got it from my father. I never got it. You know, I mean, I got don't be a punk. You know, got locked out the house when, you know, and stuff like that. I got beat up. They the kind of things that I got from my dad. You know, I didn't get that life's gonna be okay. You can make it type stuff from him. I didn't get it, and so I never understood. Huh?
On that part, I think on that part we got the same things on that
Yeah,
part because I don't remember Dad ever saying he loved any of us. To be honest, I don't recall him hearing those words come from him. I knew he did, but I don't recall ever hearing it. And Dad taught us. He taught us more self defense and not to run from nothing. More so, um, trying to protect us from things, if that makes sense.
yeah,
He taught us more so to stand up and stand in front of whatever we was going on and not run from nothing. That's why whenever we would come home from school and it was a crowd of people wanting to fight us, he would lock us out the house and deal with it. I mean, I remember having the whole school behind me one time,
yeah,
because my little brother said I was going to come to school and beat their butt. And, we got to the house and Dad was like, nah, you go out there and handle your business. And I went out there and handled my business, and he said, I mean, he ain't going to let nobody hurt you, as far as jump you or nothing like that, but he going to make you fight. But I don't recall the nurturing part from him at all.
yeah. That, and you know what? As I think about it, that was one of the greatest lessons that he has ever taught us is to stand up for ourselves. And in turn, I've always been um, um, even when I didn't want to, I was forced to, had to stand up for myself and be there. Be strong for myself. You know. I think we got a question on YouTube. Nari, we got a question on YouTube.
1 second. Yeah, the question was, how important is it to tell your child the mistakes you've made? Well, how important as a person and as a father to tell your child the mistakes you made in the past?
Oh, that's a good one. Can I start? Can I answer that first?
Of course.
So for me, I think it's important for my kids to know all of my flaws in my past because they can't that way when I'm sitting here correcting them and telling them certain things they're doing they shouldn't be doing, uh, because then they know that okay, Dad know what he's talking about because it's not like he's never been there before. And he's trying to put or so they know that I'm trying to prevent them from making the same mistakes I've made in my life. You know, I think it's important to be open with them, and they know everything about me and who I am and the things that I done went through, so that they don't make those same mistakes. And even if they do make mistakes, looking at me and the things I've done in my life and where I am today, they know that okay, if I make a mistake, I don't have to stay there. I can change and become a better person. Whatever mistake you make, you know. So me going through the things that I went through in my life and me telling them, and them knowing what I went through, and then to see who I am today, they know that no matter what happens in life, you can make a turnaround. If that makes sense.
Oh, that makes perfect sense. Anybody else?
Yeah, I wanted to piggyback off of that. I think that as parents, I think that it humanizes you when instead of just being like, because a lot, especially like teenage years or maybe like middle school ish years, the children kind of just think that you know it all, and yet you just lecturing to them if you're trying to get them to not make a previous mistake, but letting them know, I've been here before, I've done this, especially when it comes to simple stuff like getting in trouble in school, or when you're dealing with girls or boys for the first time. It's like, I've been here, this is what happened in my past, in my experience, this is what happened, this was the outcome, this is how I changed it. Instead of just don't do this, don't do that, and without an explanation or a reason why, because and oftentimes that just sends them right to do that exact same thing that you're telling them not to do.
Yeah. What's your thoughts, Rico?
No, I was going to piggyback off what she said. Basically, it just opens up the comfortability level because now I'm still I just graduated like 5 6 years ago, so I'm still like kind of young. So I know what I'm felt like. I remember as a teenager, I felt as though why would I go to the people around me that's telling me what not to do when they don't never tell me their mistakes. So I feel as though if I go to them with my mistake, I'm disappointing them. So now it makes you feel like you gotta hide it, and now it makes you feel like you're gonna do the same things, but without your parents' guidance in it. So now you just leaning on your own understanding, and it's just bound for destruction. But it's like
That's
it's
but
like
also the part of the nurturing part too, because when you
yeah,
do
exactly.
go back to that, tell them your mistakes, and you don't feel like that you're disappointing them, or you're not telling them because you're going to disappoint them, that they're going to meet you with a okay, you know it's going to be okay, this is what's wrong, it's still wrong, or whatever the case may be, but still having that nurturing part too in there.
I mean, in addition to that, I mean, if we, I think we answering now from like the range of like big mistakes or like life changing mistakes, but even from the saddle of like small mistakes, like I was supposed to make a left turn, no, mommy, you were supposed to make a right turn, or daddy, you were supposed to do the X Y Z, and most parents' immediate reaction is I'm the parent or I'm the adult, shut up, sit back.
Yeah,
When you tell them, you know what, I made a mistake, you right, you got it, then that lets them know we on the same team. That starts building that foundation of trust, and that builds a bond that when that child becomes an adult or when that little kid becomes a big kid, then they know, all right, ain't nobody got my back like my mom or my dad. You know what I mean? And ain't nobody gonna steer me wrong ain't nobody gonna steer me wrong as long as I go through my mom and dad, because they ain't afraid to let me know when they messed up. But we also a team. It prevents that spirit of isolation. And I was telling somebody the other day, that spirit, that idle spirit of being isolated, is the worst place any human can find himself in, because
Yeah.
that's where all mistakes are born. That's where danger and violence and the wrong choices and the wrong progression, all of that is born when you are idle and feel like you're alone, because you act like a cat in a corner. You scratch through anything and at anything to get out. And as long as children always know their parents got their back, then they know that they have a support system. But most of the time, that comes from them, like you said, Nari, humanizing yourself, letting them see your flaws and all, and knowing that with these flaws, um, I'm still the adult, I'm still the parent, I'm still mom, I'm still dad, but I mess up sometimes, and
Right.
it's okay, because I know when if I ain't got it, you got it. If you ain't got it, I got it, and vice versa. So it helps build that bond.
Yeah. Hey,
if I can chime in. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro. I
no,
apologize.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say that a lot of times that perception makes people view God like that. If because a lot of times it makes you feel like because when you don't humanize yourself like Navi said, it makes you feel like to your child you're perfect. But now you're being told in church that you serve a perfect God. So now in your mind, I know that type perfect. Now you just feel as though God is this person that just knows it all and just ready to judge you and ready to. But like we don't be realizing that as parents we be having and we're trying to lead your child to Christ, and somebody God has to live in you to be able to help them understand who God really is, because you're setting the example of what it truly means to be a Christian off the rip. As much as you're like, as much as you're giving them an example to be how a man treats you or how a woman treats you or how you're supposed to act and carry yourself. It's like it makes this distance between you and God by your perception of your parent before it even get started. So now you're being rebellious, and and a lot of times, like you said with your father, you was taught everything, but I feel as though a lot of times we be taught everything but how to submit. I think that was the hardest thing for me to do as far as truly accepting Jesus Christ into my life was submitting to someone other than myself, because you taught on survival and self-preservation and you know how to defend yourself and stand tall, but you're not taught how to kneel before Christ. So it makes it hard.
And you know what? And that also, in addition to that, it fosters that spirit of disappointment. Because
Yeah.
now you're looking at these perfect people in your life and you're looking at this perfect God, and now you experience something life changing like a death or somebody abandoning you or something like that, and you don't know how to deal with it because this was your perception of perfect. You know, God
Exactly.
never fails, but God took my aunt, or God took my uncle, or God took my best friend.
Man, that's a deep
And
conversation right
now
there.
it's like, you know what I mean? And now it's
Right.
like, all right, well, I can't deal with it because this type of stuff ain't supposed to happen. And if he's perfect, ain't nothing out here can make that feel better. Ain't nothing out here can compare to that. So now it literally is just me against the world. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you
Yeah.
start making you against the world decisions.
Yeah.
And
Hey. Go ahead. Go ahead, Abe.
no, go
Finish.
ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, because I go all day. Go ahead.
Yeah. Finish it. Hey. So yeah, that reminds me, man, of the saying my father used to have, and it's like real quick one. He used to tell me. He said the difference between life and the classroom. He said in classroom you get the lesson first, and then you get the test. In life, you get the test first, and then you get the lesson.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
good.
So it's
Yep.
always in understanding that even the hard things is something to be learned from it, right? It's not. It's all things work together for our good, right? It's something to be learned from these things. So that's the important thing to remember.
It's
Yeah,
good. It's good.
that's good because we we are the first line of um, spirituality for our family. Our first ministry starts at home. So if we don't teach, if we, but if you're not spiritual, then you can't teach spiritual things. So I mean, that's amazing. So we gonna change gears real quick. We got one more question on YouTube, then we gonna change gears for a second. Um, what's the question, Ari?
It says to follow up on that for those who had an absent father, how important was it for your father to admit his wrongs once you reconciled, or if you started talking to him as an adult?
All right. So for me, admitting your wrongs go hand in hand with being able to be transparent about who you are as a person. You know, I believe that I think sometimes I tell my children a little too much. I think they know a little too much about who I am and what I've done and my wrongs. You know, I, I don't believe that it's even it's necessary for me to hide anything from them, because if I'm not doing anything wrong and I'm trying to teach them the right things and the right way to go, then um, my wrongs is part of who I am. I mean, it's part of what I've done and part of my makeup. And so I can't just show them all the good parts of me and not show them also, hey, yeah, your dad got flaws. He done made some mistakes. He done did some stuff. Um, because I can't help nobody, or I can't be willing to accept help if I'm not able to admit my wrongs. And so I can't help them with the things that they're going through or things that they've been through if they don't understand that I've been through anything also. So, anybody else want to chime in on that question?
Can I get the question one more time?
How important is it to follow up on those who had an absent father? How important is it, or was it, for your father to admit he was his wrongs as a father? If he was absent in your life, how important is it for him to admit his wrongs? That's a deep question.
Yeah, that is.
I mean, I know with me and my dad's relationship right now is uh different than it was when we was growing up. I feel like we had a better relationship growing up than we do now as him being my father to an adult Avery. Um and I feel like I think the response, he's the same person as he was then as that he is now. And the sort of the culture we had in our household was we went through a lot of unspoken understandings. So it was sort of like I didn't get I love you a lot in the house from neither my mother or my father. But it was sort of like an understanding, like, I love you. I'm just not gonna say the words. So when I got older, I started, searching and digging for those words from them, and it was always in a very comical. Anybody who know me personally, y'all know I'm gonna find a comedy moment out of every situation I can get. But it wasn't like I didn't need to hear it because I also understood where they were with it. Same things went with mistakes. It was never a sense of, oh, I'm sorry, I feel bad about how this happened, yada yada yada, woo woo woo. It just was sort of like I messed up, I know I messed up. What we gonna do about moving forward? And we was always in a let's move forward, let's progress. That was sort of how we did with everything, and that's sort of where we are with things now. It's like we both understand where we are, and we understand if something is wrong, but we won't necessarily say we're wrong. We won't necessarily say this is what I need to fix. We just start to try to move and act different. And for children, it's harder to not get that verbally. And I think that getting it verbally, like I said, it establishes that foundation of trust, and it establishes that foundation of relationship. So it makes it easier when you get into adulthood that y'all can start navigating and understanding. Even as adults, as men, we are told we're not allowed to say certain things, but sometimes we just gotta say certain things. I had an experience today. All of my older fathers, y'all might understand. All my older fathers, y'all might understand. My daughter looked at my toes and she said, "Dad, where's the paint?" Okay. She looked at my toes and she said, "Dad, where's the paint?" I said, "No, that's something you and Mama do. Y'all paint toenails and y'all do that. I'm not. Don't put no nail polish on my foot, honey. Right?" I even kicked her a little bit, just a little bit. For all my Christian folks, it was a Christian kick. But and my wife was like, "She want to paint your nails? You got to paint your nails." I said, "No, this is not going to happen." Um, I was wrong for kicking her. Did I tell her that in the moment? No, I'm gonna tell her later when she's a little older. Is she gonna put nail polish on me? No, she will not. She will not put nail polish on my foot. Y'all can take that to the bank if y'all find pictures later. I caved, but I don't think I'm gonna cave no time soon. But
I think the next time I see you, Avery, I'm gonna have to check your toes.
don't look at my toes, sir. Look at my toes. Um, but with that comes that idea of, and what I was very afraid of when I started, when right before I found out I was having a son. One of the reasons I did not want a son first came from the idea of me trying to make sure I don't impose toxic masculinity on my son, which was something that was never imposed on me. But I do fear as men, sometimes we get stuck in that peer pressure of, I don't necessarily know why XYZ, but I know that as a man, we're not supposed to XYZ. Therefore, my son ain't gonna do it because I ain't do it, and my dad taught me not to do it, or that man that I know from when I was a kid taught me that I'm not supposed to do it. Yeah, you know what I mean.
And that's the thing that it's like we take so much. It's like, all right, just because I'm a man, and because I had two daughters, so I played Barbies with them. I let them put makeup on me. Y'all ain't gonna never see none of that stuff on YouTube or Facebook, but I did all of that with them. I played tea house. They cooked with me and all those kinds of things. I played with them just so that I could be spend time with them, because that's the things that they like to do. And in turn, we play water guns and dart guns. They know how to fish. I would change they know how to change tires, check the oils in their car, all the things that I would do. They will go out, they would be cut grass. They would go to work with me and all those kind of things. So, and the flip side is I would do all the things that they like to do. Um, at the time I had longer hair, so they would do my hair a little bit, man, all that kind of stuff, and have fun with them at the time, just so that they can have fun. They even come down and try to braid my beard, but yeah, I ain't never gonna let that happen again. But yeah, so that's good stuff. So we want to try switch gears. We have I think we have a video that we want to go from Bishop. Man, you talking about a powerful, powerful hour and some change that we sat and talked with talking with my Bishop Oscar Brown. It was a really good interview. Um, we learned a lot. Um, we learned a lot. We learned a lot. We talked about a lot, but the one thing that stuck with me throughout the entire video, he gave a lot of great gems. But the thing that really stuck with me throughout the entire video is that he never told his father that he loved him, or he heard it from his father that he loved him until he was in the casket. You
And I was, I lived the closest to my parents. So by the time we got to Sinai, because my mother was dealing with pneumonia, so she couldn't come out the house, And I remember holding my dad's hand and said, "Dad, you're gonna be okay." And a part about being fully present is that I remember telling my dad in death that I loved him. Not while he was fully alert. And that bothers me, as you can tell. That I waited. I was afraid, to be honest, because I didn't hear the men in my family say to each other, "I love you." I kissed.
What's your thoughts? I'm choked up, but what's your thoughts? And I did the interview.
Yeah, hey, I think it was an era, right? I think it was back in that era. The man, the father, grandfather, they came, they went out, made the money, they came home. They don't want to be bothered, right? They not gonna go. They not a lot of them not going no games with you and taking you around, soccer mom and it. They not doing any of that stuff. So I think it was an era that era, and I don't think that it's the same now. I I I hear men say that to their kids. We say it to each other now more than ever,
Right.
because we don't see it as a sign of being feminine or being soft. It's a term of endearment. So I think we've grown as men over the years, and the eras change. The eras, I mean, the
I think
father
I
came
think
home, they ate first, and you didn't say nothing to them. Go ahead,
I think
Ari.
we are. No, I was saying I think we are
Okay.
growing to a different era. I think yes, you are absolutely correct. We hear it a lot more, um, but we aren't. Well, I think we're getting to that point of doing more, but the actions behind the love aren't following it. I can see a lot more, and I'm talking from I drive public buses in DC, so I see a lot more of the average Joe, and I see it being said a lot more, but I don't see different actions. I don't see a lot of different. I ain't going to put nobody in a box. I don't know what everybody doing. But I don't see a lot of different actions. I see more change actually from the very younger crowd, which I'm actually a lot happier about. I see a big change from people between the ages of like 18 and 25. Um, Presence wise, I see them with their children a lot. I see them. I see a lot more single dads than I do single moms now on the bus. I don't know if that means a single dad struggling more or what that means, but I see a lot more single dads pushing strollers and with the babies. I as far as actions go, I still see more dads at sporting events than I do at like graduations or like, you know what I mean? I still, the dad is always going to be there for the son's first football game, but and that's, and that's, I think that's more the society in the sense of the dads got to really be out there getting it and grinding right now because they don't get the luxury to be there for everything for their kids a lot of times. But you make time for the things you want to make time for. And I still see that personal agenda behind dads. So I'm agreeing with you, but I'm in the middle with it. I think that big moments pull different emotions out of people. So that moment that Bishop had, that it was pulled because of the extremeness of the situation of death. Um, I think the capability has always been there.
I agree with you, and so the question is, how how important is it for us to understand how do you understand that I love you as my child if you never said it to me? You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
How do I know that my dad loves me if he never said it to me? Because my father, it was the day before he died that he told me he loved me. You know what I mean? In the day before on the subway. That's the first time I ever heard my
Uh,
father say he loved me.
I think
On
for
his way out
me,
to my brother.
uh, huh?
Go ahead, I'm
I,
listening.
I think for me, it was more of his actions towards me is why even though he didn't say it, um, he was, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but he was more so um, attentive to me, you know. Um, but I didn't understand until I was older why he treated me the way he did. Um, so I mean, but that's how I knew that he loved me. I mean, and like I say, and he could have said he loved me, but I don't recall. Even after we got older and became adults, and just before he passed, I've never heard him tell me he loved me. I mean, he would give me hugs and you know say he glad to see me and all of that kind of stuff, but I don't recall that. But I knew by his actions towards me. Now, like you said, we all got a different part of daddy. Pinky and I had a different experience with daddy than my other three siblings did. You know, so I mean, and I'm sure she could probably say the same thing, and he might have told her he loved her. Who knows? I don't know.
Right.
But his actions is what how I knew that he really loved me. But I don't know if he was able or capable of telling somebody that he loved them.
So
I
so
think it's
so
important to know the history too of it, right? So if a lot of times if we look deep into it, if we just look at that one relationship, our relationship with our dad, but when you look at the legacy, like did they have a dad? Did their dad have a dad? Like how? And it's I think evolving and getting better over time, but they didn't know how to do some of these things because they didn't have like a lot of them didn't. For me, in my case, my father didn't have a dad. I mean, his dad, and the worst part, his dad knew who he was. he knew who his dad was, and he never acknowledged him.
And that's the
Wow.
thing. I agree with you on that because I believe my dad didn't know his real dad. His
Didn't
great
know.
uncle, well, my great uncle and aunt is who raised him. His mother didn't raise him.
He didn't
I mean,
find out that.
we knew he knew who his mother was because we knew who his mother was. We called that was Granny, but he never knew, as far as I know, who his dad was because we've never met his dad. So I
Right.
really don't think that he was capable or even knew how to be a dad. Now he was raised good, I mean, he had a father figure in his life, but and now that we're talking about it, I believe Daddy had some issues growing up, not knowing who his dad was. You
Well,
know,
you gotta admit it though, Bruce. Remember, he didn't find out that the people that raised him wasn't his biological parents until he was in the military.
oh, absolutely, absolutely. So that's why I say the things that he has done, and the way that he treated people. I believe he did that because he didn't know who his dad was, and he probably had some animosity and wasn't able to talk through it and all of that. So now that we talk about it, I mean, he probably didn't know how to be a father. To be honest.
Yeah, and I would say go beyond animosity and say it's trauma, right? It's some trauma there, and we
Right.
again we evolved from
Absolutely.
even talking about having any discussions about mental health, right? Any
Right.
discussions about
Right.
that was taboo back then, right? There was no mental health, but he was dealing with something. Probably, I mean, and a lot of them are dealing with things, and we look at the immediate connection but don't look on the outside. Just like when they said, when you're reading the scriptures, right? Can't just read a scripture. You gotta know what preceded it and what happened after to get the right context of it.
Yeah.
But a lot
Yeah.
of times, since emotions are involved and it happened to us or whatever, we don't we say, "Oh no, man, he was just a bad dad. He was a bad dad." But yeah, but he didn't have a dad. And then how did he deal with that trauma? How did he deal with that trauma? And Avery said it earlier. And how did he deal with being alone on an island by himself, alone in the most dangerous place you could be? In the most
Most
dangerous place
dangerous
you could be,
place.
by yourself, alone, trying to process that hey, this man that birthed me didn't even love me enough to stay around. And we talked about, I mean, it's all tied together. It goes back to the self-esteem. It goes
Yeah.
back to all of those things, right? I didn't know if you planned it this way, but it basically came
And full
full
circle.
circle, all of that, right?
It's amazing.
I mean, because it's always a cycle. It's always a cycle. And, when we think about perception, we always think about where we are in the world today as if our emotions are the first time that anybody's ever felt any emotion that we feel. But we are products of that emotion. And it's on us to be the ones to stop it from going to our seeds.
Yeah. That's what's up, y'all. I mean, we have a few more minutes left, and so in our last few minutes, this time went quick. This time went quick. We have 15 minutes left. So in our last 15 minutes, we're not make it 15 minutes. My computer about to die. But in our last few minutes that we have together, can somebody tell me what? All right, let's go around the table. Nari, in the last year, what is one of your major takeaways about the program and that's been happening for you in the last year? For you in the last year, since you're the lady of the group.
Um, One of my biggest takeaways that we talked about um already is presence, and not just being there physically, but being there, um playing with your kids, showing up for their games and cheering them on, because I think we talked about, was it Tony who said that his dad told him that he couldn't that he couldn't play?
Kevin.
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 Kevin. Yeah, so showing up, being there, being present in a positive way, all while still giving correction. And I see, I try not to, I'm a Virgo, so I try not to like analyze people too much because this is my nature. But I've started realizing the difference between my friends, my female friends who have fathers in their life growing up and who don't, and the situations that they allow themselves to be in, that they stay in, the things that they accept from men, and the way that they parent their own children versus the ones who have had father figures growing up. Um, and it's just been, for lack of better words, it's kind of been a lot. I've been trying to figure out if there is a way to kind of reverse some of these things. I don't want to necessarily say traumas, but um, for lack of
Generational
better
curse.
words, yes, that a lot of my friends are experiencing now, especially the ones who did not grow up with fathers in their life, or who just had an inactive father, even if they knew who their father was. Um, Something as simple as one of my friends lately, her dad was upset that nobody planned anything for his 50th birthday. He's turning 51 this year. And so she felt all of this pressure to like throw him a party, but she was like, she remembers him being at two of her, she's 28, remembers him being at two of her birthdays, like growing up ever. Um, and so, I mean, her life is just all types of all over the place. But it's just like simple stuff like that, I don't know. I struggle with if things can be reversed and giving people um like advice and help.
Yeah, that's good stuff, Nari. That's really good stuff. Um, um, anybody else want to talk about it? Avery Muse.
Yeah, I think it's a powerful effort, man, and it's so needed. It's needed. It's not just something that's that's self-serving or what. It is needed every time. Everyone, and I wasn't with all of the beginning, the ones in the beginning, but everyone I've been a part of, the brothers just talk about, man, how impactful it is, and that I just see. I'm like, how do we? How does it get to more people and help? Because
Right.
it's dealing with things that you don't even know you have, and it's all those suppressed issues, and that as a black man, that you have in you, right? I mean, we have friends, we have homeboys, and all that stuff. But I would venture to say that for the most part, it's stuff that's suppressed in us that nobody knows about,
Yeah.
and just talking through it, and even if you only talk through it, just being in the room and listening to it, I think it opens you up to that healing process. It opens you up to that to what Nari was saying, to changing the narrative some. It opens you up to that. So keep let's keep it up. Let's keep it up because it's needed out there.
Yeah.
And then how do we reach people people that are younger? How do we catch them as boys? How do we like move upstream and catch them so they don't have to wait until they're 50 some years old to have that awakening, right? How do we catch them when
Absolutely.
they're in elementary school or middle school or whatever, and help that way? So that's just my thoughts.
Absolutely. And I agree
I
with
agree
that
with that
100%.
100%.
It's
It's
time for
time
us
for
to
us to
get
get
them
them
before,
before
before.
before.
Bruce,
Bruce,
you
you
there?
there?
We can
We
come back
come
to
back to
Bruce.
Bruce.
Avery.
Avery.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
I
this
mean,
last year showed me that, and I keep telling that's sort of my thing for the years, that men are not alone in their feelings. And too often we're taught that we got to go out here and attack this world by ourselves and figure out how to navigate it by ourselves. And then you find platforms like this where it's okay to figure out a game plan with fellow men, like-minded men going through similar issues. Because that's, despite how uh, the role of fatherhood is being looked at today, there are still plenty
Yo,
of male people in the world who don't want to
it
be
looked like
fathers,
everybody frozen.
who don't do fatherhood well intentionally.
Right.
So the fact that we can still find black men who want to be better fathers for their kids than the fathers that they had, um, shows me personally that there's still hope. And as long as there's hope, there's power. So
Right. Bruce, what's your intake for the last year, brother? We're gonna come back to Bruce. Jerome, what's your intake for the last year?
Just copying. Excuse me. Just copying and coupling off of what everybody's saying. Like, the making the content is cool, doing the interviews and getting the stories is cool. But I think the biggest aspect of what we're doing is just sparking the conversation and getting the idea of healing and fatherhood in the forefront of conversation amongst men. Like everyone said, like I work in elementary schools every day, so I directly see and can correlate the some of the traumas that our young boys are facing based off of the ideas of the things they're going through with their fathers or lack thereof. So I just think that we continuing in this mission and reaching as many people as possible, continuing on our quest of 100 men, but even going past and beyond that, because we don't even get to count and tally up the residual effects of the conversations we had with the first man. The first man is the first conversation, but then he goes and talk to his friends and talk to his friends. So I just think us continuing to make this mark and put this blueprint as a just a format of conversation that can be had whether we're in the room or not. And I think as we continue in the mission, that's going to be the biggest thing. Whether they're ringing directly out that this is a letter to my father thing or not, but just hearing the residual effects of those conversations being had, I think that's the most impactful thing for me, for sure.
My man. Bruce, you there? Okay, we're gonna try to get back to Bruce. Draco, I know you haven't been part of the program.
I don't know, but I found these results on Search.
I know you haven't been part of the program, but what's your thoughts on what we've been talking about today?
It's needed. It's needed. It's conversations that's needed. Is needed in our communities, because a lot of times, not even just youth, older men. There's some dudes that still struggle with these things and keep burning them, and they keep resurfacing, they keep burning them, but and they want to deal with them, but they truly don't know how to. And this is needed to show them that, like Avery said, you don't have to go through it alone. You don't have to figure it out alone, because it's something. I look at it, if we all going through it and we all struggling with it, why not come together to try to do it together and try to figure out a plan together and help each other? If we all gonna struggle with it anyway, I
Right.
mean, it would only make sense. And a lot of times we just got to reverse that mentality of you have to do it alone, or you got to be self-made, or you got to be all these self things, because you yourself don't always have it figured out, and that's okay. Dudes be feeling like they always got to have it figured out. They feel as though like they just have to have it figured out, and sometimes it's okay not to be okay, but we're not taught that. I feel as though, and that's why I feel like this program, just being on here today, shoot, it be times where, like you say, man, you don't even want to talk, and you don't even have to talk, but then it make you think like, wow, like these are real traumas. These are real traumas, and we go through them so much that we minimize the effect they have on us, but it's only thing that got decreased is the value of you. The way you look at it, it still had the same value of impacting you to your day-to-day life for forever until you deal with it. Like, you can really have these issues for the rest of your life if you never deal with them.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Man, this has been powerful. I mean, this last year has been amazing. Every time I think about it, I just get emotional because I know that the work that we doing is nothing but the grace of God that even that we even here. When God gave me this thing, I asked him, I'm like, you sure? He was like, because you dealing with it, you've dealt with it. Other men need a platform that they need to understand that they got to deal with it also. You know what I mean? We as fathers, we are the ones that striving to be better fathers, be better men. There's a lot of fathers out there that don't even understand their importance. And I done heard so many times that, man, my child, I'm good. I ain't had no father. I be there for my child. I give them a couple of dollars. They good. It's not true. That's not true. The one of the most important things that you could ever do for your child is to be present. And we've learned that time and time and time again. What was the one thing that Bishop said at the end of his the number one thing to do is to be present. Not just be in a house, not just be around your children, but to be present in their lives, to be an active member, an active participant in your children growing up. And you do that by being present, being patient, taking the time, learning your children and understanding what it is that they need, and being available for them when they need you. Man, this has been amazing. And in true letters to my father fashion, as before we sign off, we gotta pray out. And
Yes, sir.
so I'm gonna pray out this time. And so let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you. Thank you for allowing us to go through another year, Lord God. This year has been amazing. Thank you for the vision. Thank you for where you're going to take us. We know that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard what great things you have in store for us. So we ask in your name, Father, that you just keep us grounded in your word. Keep us grounded in the mission. Keep us focused on what you have next for us, dear God, that we may walk in it and move forward in it. We know that you can do all things and do everything well. We love you, Lord, and we thank you for each and every member. We thank you for each and every person that you allowed us to impact. People that we know about, people that we don't know about. Lord Jesus, we ask you just keep us moving forward, keep us focused on the mission, and that you get the glory out of it all, not us. We love you in the righteous name of Jesus. We do pray, amen. Man, I thank y'all for
Yes.
y'all time. This has been wonderful. And
I
thank y'all
thank
for
y'all.
coming to celebrate our 1 year anniversary. 1 year, y'all. It's only beginning. We thank y'all so
Hey,
much. Y'all have
how often do y'all do these things?
we
The
got another
meetings.
one coming up in next week, and then we got it's not going to be on live, but we got another interview session coming up at the end of this week actually, and that'll be
Okay.
airing in next month. But we'll be going to be coming back on live again in another couple months. We're going to be doing it
Alright.
again. So we going to try to keep active at it.
And I definitely keep you in the loop, Drago.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, man, this is needed. This powerful right here, like you said, man. This stuff is life changing. You know, these are the important things in life. You know, all that other stuff might rot and wither away, but it can't take your mind away from you and your understanding. Like this is needed. This is needed.
Yeah, big facts, big facts.
Appreciate it.
For all of
Love
you,
y'all.
all those watching, make sure if you haven't watched the interviews and the roundtable sessions that you go on to YouTube, watch all of the interviews from the previous 3 seasons, I believe.
Yeah. 4, because we had the two sessions. We had Bishop session, and we had the
Did he freeze or we froze?
I'm not sure what happened, but yes, everything is on YouTube.